Thanks so much. Indeed, Signify, I think still most of you know us because our products are called Philips. And 130 years old company who is reinventing ourselves every now and then, and we'll come back to that a little bit. Can you change? No, I'm sorry. So who are we? We're the leading lighting company in the world by far, and actually what we're very proud of is we're the biggest in all technologies that there are: conventional, LED, which is the digital way of doing light, and then of course smart lighting, which is an area that grows and comes very, very quickly. Quite big company in a normal world, around 8 billion, but last year due to the lockdowns, especially in China and so on, about 6.5 billion euros of turnovers. And of course we are a worldwide company. Light is so much more than just light. Normally when I tell people that I work with lighting, they say, okay, you do a light bulb. Actually, light is much, much more than that. First of all, it's one of the key components in how we feel and how we get energized. If you want to be productive at work, lighting is super crucial for that. The right kind of light will increase your productivity a lot, will make you less stressful and feel better. But also, of course, lighting, you know, in your home. I mean, on a Friday with the family in what you in Denmark call hygge, and we call mysfredag in Sweden. Changing your light setting is crucial for getting the right kind of ambience. The same way as in the morning when you want to get energized and get going, the right kind of light is important. But actually light is much, much more than that. Few people know that the light grid, so the amount of luminaires and even light sources, so lamps in the ceiling, today that's becoming the grid of sensors collecting and sending data inside and outside, and a lot of other systems. And we had a discussion last night with Grönholm about heating, for example. Today, in the sensors in the lighting systems, we can pick up things like air quality, like heating and VLC or asset tracking and so on, and then send that data into the systems of other areas for then use, for example, increasing heating if needed and so on. So light is much, much more than that. Light is also one of the areas that has really moved quickly in Internet of Things. So if you look at the connected light points that we as a company today manage globally, both consumers and professionals, are more than 100 million light points out there today that are connected and steered from the cloud. Also, lighting is becoming a language of sending and receiving data. I'm not sure if you've heard about Wi-Fi, but that is actually sending and receiving data in much higher volumes than over radio transmissions, and actually in a much, much more secure way, because if you're not under the light source, you cannot hack the data flow. And of course, last but not least, it's also UVC, where we are deactivating viruses like COVID, for example. With the right kind of spectrum of light, you can actually deactivate viruses, and with that, of course, create a much more safer environment. If we go into this business around lighting, in the last 10-15 years, this business area has seen two big disruptive technology changes actually in parallel. And the first was going from analog, from conventional lighting to digital LED. But almost at the same time, also the whole connectivity and smart lighting really boomed. And normally big companies cease to exist, go bankrupt or disappear when that happens, because big companies, actually like Magnus said, have difficulties in adapting quickly to changes. And we're actually one of those few companies who were the market leader when that happened and came out as a stronger market leader after this, where actually the other big players in the world, they are all gone by now. So that's something that we're very proud of. And we actually did it focusing on two things. Innovation, so we talked about how much more lighting is than just a light bulb, but also sustainability, and that's where we come now to the 3D printing part. Sustainability is really in the core of what we do. And we started the journey around 10 years ago. We just finished last year our second big phase, 5-year phase of this. Of course, the most proud thing for us is that we are today already. So Q3 last year, we became globally carbon neutral. So once cities, governments, and a lot of other companies are talking about becoming carbon neutral, we are globally today already carbon neutral. That's something that we are, of course, very proud of, but also something that we want to share and help other companies to embark on that journey. If we also then look at going forward, of course, continue on these paths is very important. But the next big phase for us is to drive circularity. And of course, 3D is one of the key drivers for us in that. We want in the next 4 years that more than 1/3 of our business is through fully circular products. And that is, of course, in a big company, that's really industrializing and then scaling it up. Of course, also things like diversity is super important, and another topic, but we're not going to go into it today. That is, of course, in helping people for a better life with food production, and their life can be very important to increase the happiness of salmons and pigs and hens, and give them a better life, and with that a less stressful meat and more food. Of course, also vegetables and so on. Let's look at the video a little bit about our company, and then Emma takes over.
One more click. It always makes me a little bit prouder of the company when I see that video.
Indeed.
Oh, yes, that's it. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Emma. I am a business developer within Signify, within the 3D venture of Signify. So we're a corporate venture. And it is, I can say, the absolute coolest part of Signify to work in. I'm very, very confident about that. But I want to take you back a little bit to the point of why we believe it is the next big thing in lighting. And we believe it's the next big thing in lighting after LED. This is the first LED lamp. When we commercialized that in 2005, I can assure you it was very expensive. I think we can say it's not very pretty, but it was the start of a revolution in our lighting industry. And at that point, there were very few players in the market. That has gone up drastically. And thank God we made them a little bit prettier, because those initial ones, but it was a good start. And I'm very happy that we jumped on that we were the first to commercialize, because otherwise we might as well have been Kodak. You can be the world leader, but if you're not paying attention. And we believe that 3D printing is going to do the same thing for our industry. What I would like to do today is share with you a little bit of the story, a little bit of the journey that we're on. I'm not going to say that we finished it, because we're in the midst, we're struggling like any one of you, but I'm hoping to at least inspire to keep pushing, to keep innovating, and also be proud of what you do in the meantime. When I started in the 3D printing venture, I already thought it was the coolest part of Signify anyway. Because, well, you can print your Eiffel Tower and you can light it up, right? And you can make a dinosaur, and you can put your boss's head on the dinosaur. You can wear it as a hat if you want to. We still do that once in a while anyway. And we're going to make all of it out of recycled plastic. Why not? We're just going to go for it. And how hard could it be? Turns out, not that easy. But we are getting there, and there are a few reasons why we are out of the venture stage and really scaling up our 3D printing facilities. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I think there's a nice split in design capabilities and in sustainability improvement, especially on supply chain, looking at fewer components. We can print more. I mean, especially today here, you can see you can print almost anything. So in terms of components, part count reduction is very, very important. But it also gives us a new edge. It gives us a new way of designing products. We can play in a market where we couldn't play before, and the design cycle is so much shorter that lamps like these ones here on the ground, it's a new table lamp. It will be launched shortly, but it can be developed in a matter of weeks. So those are a few of the reasons that we really feel that we're going to add value to our business, to our industry, and that we can disrupt the industry and our own company, which is sometimes a little bit hard, but very, very important not to go south in the end. Let me start at the beginning. This is, well, the guy here is Koen. Koen was part of our research department, and in 2012, they had one guy called Bram. Bram came in, he had a wooden 3D printer, and they were like, you know what? We want to increase our portfolio, we want to increase our flexibility, we want to see if we can do mass customization in the lighting industry to reduce waste, but also to be much more interesting than our competitors in terms of design on a large scale. So they sent Koen to the building that you see behind there. It pretty much, it's an old photo, but it pretty much looks the same still on the outside. And in the midst of the spider webs with a laptop and one 3D printer, he was trying to figure out how that worked. And he figured out a few things. First of all, a much faster design cycle, and I probably don't have to tell you guys that because you're all here because of the 3D printing, but in lighting, that is incredible. We're talking about a matter of weeks instead of months or years, so that is incredible. It helps us reduce carbon footprint on a few levels. One, because we can work with recyclable but also recycled materials, because we enable digital manufacturing, so we can produce closer to our customer and reduce the amount of logistical movements. I mean, why would you produce a product in China and then put it on a boat for 8 weeks to Europe, or the other way around? And we can go much faster because we don't have to wait on the molds anymore and no complex tools. We can create the design process in a way that we can simplify our products at the core. And the simplifying supply chain. So where are we right now? We are working on a global rollout. So we are a little bit moving past the startup phase, and we're scaling up globally. The first location we had is Marheze, 15 minutes away of headquarters. And then came Tomashi. And Tomashi is not necessarily a 3D printing factory, but what we figured out is that if we have one of our fast movers, one of our most wanted products, if we 3D printed them, it would not be more expensive, but it would be about a 75% carbon footprint reduction. Why not put our money where our mouth is then and make sure that we convert the whole range into the 3D printing version, and that is actually created in Tomashi in Hungary. Then we are now setting up Turnhout, Belgium. That's going to be the biggest one in Europe. Littlestown, Pennsylvania. Indonesia, Jakarta. And we're going to go to India, to Noida. Or we are in India, Noida. I keep saying we're going to go, but it goes so fast that sometimes even I don't keep up. And we had some challenges on the way, so I want to be open on that as well. The first one is on quality. And you can perceive that on many levels. It's on the quality of the material that we have. If the material is not good enough, your prints, well, you saw the image before, look like that. That's not good. But also, if you look at terms of quality at the product that we make, it is not just a shade. In this case, it is, but we use it in professional environments. We have big, large food retailers, and we're going to come to a few cases in a few minutes. But they require specifications that are a little bit more than just creating a simple shade. But then also that lighting quality has to be maintained. So what we do is we use the components of the high quality that we already use in all the ranges. But that's quite a challenge to keep that together and also maintain the quality of light. Design-wise, it gives us a lot of opportunity, but also a lot of challenges, because you got to rethink the whole product. And we've done the old products in a way for many, many, many years. You just saw what we all do. We've been around for quite a while, but how do you then make sure that you keep looking at the way of designing with fresh eyes? So that's another topic that we have to really focus on to make sure that we don't slip. But then again, we slip a lot, and that's okay because you're using 3D printing, so you can try. Anyway, finding the right partners. We have a lot of in-house R&D, which is very convenient because they know the industry, they know the technology, but we cannot do it alone. We need partners on software level, we need partners on 3D printing level, we need partners on a material level. So finding the right partners to really help us get to the scale that we want to go to is quite the challenge. And then the last thing, and I've heard that quite a bit in the past day and a half, which is focusing, because you can do everything. And with focusing maybe also comes expectation management, because your customer thinks you can do anything. So I want that dinosaur with my boss's head, and I only want one piece, and it can cost me €5. It doesn't work. And I've heard quite a lot of those stories around here, so it was nice to at least hear that other people struggled with that a little bit as well. But make sure that we manage the expectation right and focus on a long-term strategy. Make sure that we keep looking at that North Star that we want in terms of mass customization and the most sustainable process, maintaining the quality that we can. If you look at the diffusion of innovation, which is quite a familiar picture, I think. You need the innovators. So you need the first customers, the first partners actually that believe in you, that want to go on that journey with you, that don't expect you to do it all of a sudden within a week and make it happen. For us, we are lucky being a corporate that we have a very much appreciated customer base, and one of those customers is Albert Heijn. It's the biggest large food retailer in the Netherlands. And what we did with them is we started a co-creation process. What we did is we wanted to know, we think there's a value in all the design capabilities that we have, but does our customer actually agree, or do they just want a product from a picture and move? Well, turned out, yay for us, that they really like the co-creation part of it. So what we did for their fresh foods department, they wanted more of like a warm atmosphere. They wanted to be a little bit more cozy. It was above the fruits and the vegetables, so you can see there's some pear shapes, but we also have some apple shapes. We thought that was very clever. We used like a pineapple texture because you can play with the textures, and it was actually done within a matter of weeks. And they were very happy, we were very happy, but there's one more thing, which is stores changed their concept. That means that they, at some point, want to take these shades off and put on new ones. That's installation cost, that's hassle. What we did is we designed a way of doing that where they would just have to lift up the shade, take off a disc, exchange it, and put it back. So no more installation cost, much faster. And for us, it's a great position to be in because they want to come back to us to redesign the next shades, the next concept that they're implementing at that point. Then the other customer that we talk about quite a lot, because this was, I think, the second big milestone, which is Marks & Spencer's in the UK. Marks & Spencer's is a retail chain that is very much focused on sustainability. They were focusing on how to change the look of the store to make sure that the younger generations also come in. In the UK, that was a bit of a challenge for them, that image that they had. We started co-creating, but in this case we did it on, I think I'm going over time, no? In this case it's on functional lighting. So they had installation issues, there were issues with their ceilings and stuff like that. So we completely tailored all of their functional lighting. So it's not the pretty, crazy colored stuff that we do for some other customers, but it was really great that the technology in this case also could help us manage that. And why it was so important for us, it was the first one on a really big scale. So here you're talking tens of thousands of products instead of what it's usually used for, which is a bit of a smaller scale. I'm going to go a little bit faster, I think, but I do want to share with you the Sas Lounge in Copenhagen, because obviously it makes sense. What we did here as well, they wanted to change their lighting design, the look and feel, but they didn't want to change the ceilings. Again, change the product to perfectly fit the installation challenge that they have and put in the right components to make sure that it gave the right lighting look. This one is also a really cool one. City of Copenhagen wanting to be carbon neutral by 2025, which is obviously a great ambition. And we get to co-create with them, but also integrate the products that we make for them with an interact system. So they can control in a smart way, have the energy reduction, but also have the design that they were looking for. A few of the learnings. One, culture is key. Culture is the most important thing. We have a lot of benefits from working with the corporate, from being part of the corporate, which is really great. But also, it can be sometimes a mindset that you can get stuck in. They're focused on improving the last 0.2%, where we're trying to disrupt. So we have to be able to find each other when we can, but also keep holding on to the culture where people are not afraid to fail. If they fail, that's perfectly fine. Do it as much as you can, as fast as you can. Learn, share with your colleagues, and all of you get together and move forward, because that's the only way you're going to lose. You're never going to get it right the first time, so you might as well keep trying and keep moving. Don't make the same mistake too much. That's another thing, but okay. Third one, assumptions are the mother of all, I want to say fuck-ups, but you can write that down, so mess-ups. I think that speaks for itself. It's regarding what your customer may think of a product that you make or a proposition that you have, but also internally. If you can hide it, make it a feature. The layers that are very typical for the 3D printing process were perceived by some people as things that the customer will not like. That's not going to be, they're not going to buy it because of the layers, really. And the cool thing is that because of those layers, we can play around with textures. We can do crazy things with textures that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do. So that is really something that's really great for us to be able to offer to a customer. So if you can hide it, just make it a feature, own it, and go for it. Last topic, beware of a strategy that is built on protection. You've got to be your own cannibal, otherwise you're going to be your competitor's lunch. There might be some people that don't like it, that you would like to change stuff. And it might hurt a little bit if you do, but in the end, it's better you be doing it than your competitor, and then they get you in the market. Well, what's next? Scaling up.
Thank you.